BBC News with Sue Montgomery. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of committing a war crime by bombing a maternity and children's hospital in the besieged city of Mariupol. Mr. Zelensky made the comment in his latest address to the nation.
Мы не делали и никогда бы не сделали ничего подобного.
We have never done and would never do anything like this war crime in any of the cities of Donetsk or Luhansk or any region. None of the cities on earth. Because we are people.
Потому что мы люди.
And you?
А вы?
A Ukrainian official said 17 people had been injured. Russia insists Ukrainian fighters had moved staff and patients out of the hospital and set up firing positions there. A spokesman for the World Health Organization, Tarik Yasharevich, who's in the city of Lviv, condemned the bombing.
It's absolutely shocking to see these scenes of devastation, and we condemn any attack on a healthcare facility, healthcare workers or patients. Unfortunately, we have seen a number of attacks across Ukraine. We were able to verify 18 such attacks that have left 10 people dead and 18 wounded, some of them healthcare workers.
A Ukrainian negotiator said that more than 40,000 women and children were evacuated from areas under attack by Russia on Wednesday. David Arachamia said the figure was far lower than the 100,000 that the Ukrainian authorities had hoped for. The United States says Russia could use chemical or biological weapons in Ukraine or create a false flag operation that uses them. Western officials say they are very concerned over the possibility of Russia using non-conventional weapons in Ukraine. Gordon Carrera reports.
We've got good reason to be concerned about possible use of non-conventional weapons, one Western official said, referring most likely to chemical weapons. They cited the fact that these had been used in conflicts in which Russia was involved before, such as in Syria by its ally, the Assad government. They also pointed to some of the disinformation coming from Russia as potentially setting the scene for some kind of false flag claim that the Ukrainians had used or developed non-conventional weapons. These have included false claims that Ukraine is developing a dirty radioactive bomb or had secret biological labs.
The head of the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, says in recent days his agency has lost remote safety data transmission from its systems monitoring a second major nuclear power plant in Ukraine, at Zaporizhzhia. Rafael Grossi said the reason for the disruption was not immediately clear. It comes a day after the IAEA lost remote data transmission from the Chernobyl nuclear facility. BBC News. The International Monetary Fund says it's approved $1.4 billion in emergency financing for Ukraine to help it deal with the economic and humanitarian crisis caused by the Russian invasion. The IMF's managing director said the package provided critical financial support to mitigate the economic impact of the war. In other news, South Korea's presidential election has been narrowly won by the conservative opposition leader Yoon Suk-yeol in one of the tightest races in the country's recent history. Laura Bicker reports from Seoul.
Yoon Suk-yeol only entered politics last year and rose to prominence for successfully prosecuting the former Conservative President Park Geun-hye on bribery and corruption charges. His victory marks the end of a bitterly divided contest with his Liberal rival. He's pledged to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality and blamed the rise of feminism for the country's low birth rate. Mr Yoon is also more hawkish on foreign policy than the current leader Moon Jae-in.
North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has said the ongoing development of a reconnaissance satellite by his country is aimed at collecting information on the US military in the region. State media said his comment came during a visit to the country's space agency. Washington has added 9 senior Nicaraguan officials to its list of corrupt and undemocratic actors, barring them from entering the US. They include MPs, judges and members of Nicaragua's Electoral Commission, who the State Department accuses of conspiring to exclude opposition candidates and parties from the democratic process. Nicaragua's President Daniel Ortega won a 4th consecutive term in November. One of Brazil's best-known musicians, Caetano Veloso, is leading a protest outside Congress in Brasilia against planned laws, which he says would cause widespread environmental destruction. BBC News.
BBC News